What up? What up? What up? It is a late night edition of the Shark Cove. We just got done with Super Week, Friday opening. Had some kind of wacky results in the LCS. The Chalk did not do well. Wasn't able to get there. Got pretty close. Got a top 10. Not a big tournament, but uh, just had the C9 TSM stack the wrong way. No big deal. Today's been a rough day. Almost every single NFL game has gone over. Really not good for my bankroll, but we're still here. We're still kicking. Let's examine this slate. We're going to run through it a little bit quicker because I know it is later. And like the game's going over wasn't the only thing that kind of didn't work out for me today. Locked my keys in my house. A couple different things happened. So let's just run through these. Let's see what we got here. Don't want to spend too much time on the betting aspect. We got Gen G at minus 480 plus a minus 1.5, minus 125. This is a team that's been just utterly dominant, has ran through almost all of the competition, but we have seen them drop a couple games to Damwon, to T1. KT is up there. I don't know if they're necessarily on the level of those other two teams, but they're certainly in a position where we do need to respect them. And at plus 330, this rivalry, KT and Gen G always play each other close. But, typically at the end of the season, that is. But look, KT, this Gen G is a lot better than anything that they've played in the past. KT's a lot better too. I guess what I'm saying here is the plus 330 seems a bit disrespectful, but at the same time, it makes sense. If I was going to take a bet, that's probably where I would go. Just hope that KT somehow pulls out a miracle. It's the end of the season. Gen G doesn't necessarily have anything to play for. KT is certainly taking this one seriously. I think Gen G will as well. Yeah, man, it is a damn shame that Moose is not here to talk about this particular matchup because this is a matchup that I feel like he kind of thrives on, lives on. This is his spot right here. So, oh well, he'll be back at some point. Moving on from that game, we got T1 and Damwon, two teams that have had a really rough last 4 weeks, both of them being beat by Sandbox, T1 dropping a game to Nongshim, Damwon just not really looking overall good, but recently just absolutely crushing the slate by 2-0 KDF, and really could have even gotten to like those Sandbox levels of last night had Damwon lost that game like they should have in game 2 against KDF, and then came out and smashed a game 3. But they didn't. They pulled it out. They allowed KDF to throw the game, and they took advantage of it, but still were the top scoring team on the slate. I don't want any part of this. I don't trust either of these teams. Actually, now that I think about it, I'd probably go Damwon plus 165. They're, both of these teams have been struggling. Damwon's still a good team. They can beat this T1 team. At plus 165 seems like it's a little bit too good to not take advantage of. I do think that this game, much like a lot of the LCS games that we just watched, you could bet some of these unders, but much like the IGLGD series of yesterday, you're not really getting some fantastic unders here. I don't know. Maybe you could take a shot on these two teams playing kind of a fiesta where neither of them really have a ton to play for. If I'm not mistaken, I think Damwon is locked into the playoffs, and they certainly are. The 1 and 2 seed for Gen G and T1 are locked in. So I mean, it doesn't really matter. It looks like Damwon's going to play one of these two teams in KT or DRX, and really I'm not sure that altogether matters that much which one. Maybe they do have a preference, but a lot of that's outside of their control. So maybe this is a fiesta. Maybe it's not. Maybe these teams want the practice against each other in a kind of a live setting, not a scrim setting, but maybe they don't, and maybe this is a little bit of a wild game. Over here, we got TT and Rare Adam. Rare Adam obviously has been eliminated from playoff contention. TT is in a 4, 5, 6-way battle with a couple of these teams here. Actually, I think it's a 2-way battle, a 4-way battle. We've got FPX, TT, Anyone's Legend, and BLG all still available to make playoffs, and there's only 2 spots. RA plays TT, AL plays TES. So that almost, puts them in a situation where I think they win, they're in. And if not, their game differential will, if they lose the series, their game differential is not going to be good enough. I don't think they'd be 7-9. Let's say they lose 2, they would be -6. I think they're out of the playoffs at that point. They need to win and they're in. RA can play spoiler. RA has looked really terrible at times, most of the time. +190 versus -260. Here on the Shark Cove, we like TT. We think TT is a good team. Some of the results don't always back that up, but I think they take care of business here. They've been a really strong blue side team as well. They do get blue side or pick, I should say. So, I'm probably going to stick with TT here. Anyone's Legend has fallen apart. This team was the darling of, certain DFS circles because people want them to be good. People like cheering for this team, but they've fallen apart as their schedule got harder. They are who we thought they were. There was, 1 or 2 upsets, but relatively an easy schedule early in the season. And, people bought into the hype. And I think maybe rightfully so, even though some of the underlying metrics didn't necessarily indicate that they were that good, but it was just hard to really figure it out until they got tested. And, once they did, they passed, or they failed to pass. They failed. They didn't pass. So big game here against Top. I think if Top wins this series, they secure a top 2 spot, which is pretty favorable. It allows you to lose once in the playoffs. So I think that they'll be playing and they'll have some motivation here. So let's take a look at how these teams go together in terms of DFS. Now, cash-wise, I think Top Esports is the first team that you kind of look at. Top and Gen G actually go together pretty well. 553, you get a peanut captain, but you can go 4 top, Tion, Knight, Jackie Love, Mark. I like that line. There's probably a little bit of, massaging you could do if you wanted to get like a Dorn or Wayward captain. But so far, this is a good lineup in my opinion for cash. But what can we do? Let's say we moved it over to TT. We're probably going to get a little bit of a higher projection. I think the ceilings are going to be a little lower though, because we are, going with a support captain. Not sure that I want that. There is some safety in it, but I think the Gen G Top Esports is still much better. You get a peanut captain for Top Esports, and you just a better overall odds right there. Wayward's not starting, huh? Oh yeah, Queen 10's in there. Okay, yeah, you're right. Either way, well, so hey, look, this is perfect then. This is perfect, right? You avoid Spell's Avatar. You've got Doran, who's been actually a really good fantasy scorer. For a cash line, I do like this right here. I don't think I'd want to mess around with the T1 Dam one, but let's just say you wanted to go with T1 in this lineup. You're going 4 T1 here. You're getting a Tion captain. That's not terrible, but 564. So, overall, when we look at this, the Gen G Top Esports does have kind of the best betting odds when you put them together. You get a jungle captain and 4 Top Esports. I think that this is probably the way to go, but 553. Let's see what we can do with Gen G and TT because Top is the most expensive team on the slate. Putting these 2 teams together, you do get a pretty interesting kind of combination here that does score a little bit better. You get a Kepler captain. I think this moves more into like winner take alls, or if you specifically know what you're going up against in those head-to-heads. But there's just a tremendous amount of added risk by playing TT over Top Esports. And when it comes down to it, between these 2 teams, let's take a look at the projection. TT does project higher, at least in the top lane. Pretty similar there. Higher there. So yeah, you're getting a little bit more. Let's kind of look into that. Why is that what's coming out in the projection? anyone's legend, doesn't give up a ton of deaths. I think it's the top, doesn't necessarily mess around. And, if we go over to RA, I think RA's had a couple recent kind of crazy games. Yes? No? Where's RA? I think they're right there. Yeah, RA, has had a couple of those crazy games. They've had plenty of them, like this RNG series, the EDG, where they didn't give up a ton of deaths, but certainly have shown a ability to int, and nobody does that better than iBoy. So, I guess my concern is that like TT. Well, no, TT does do pretty well and win. So, yeah, look, I like that. I like it. I think that's going to be more of a GPP thing. I'm going to settle right here with Gen G and Top Esports being kind of the lineup I want to put together if I'm playing head-to-heads. As you know, I don't play head-to-heads very often. I'm not playing head-to-heads tonight. And so as a result, this is just a recommendation. It's not financial advice. Take it for what it's worth. Like, when we're talking from a GPP perspective, just like outside of these median outcomes, and I think of this Gen G KT series, I wanna say that I want to back KT, right? Like, or how do I back KT? How did they end up in the optimal lineup? Who ends up in the optimal lineup if they do? I don't know though, man. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's a spot where I want to go to KT. It feels like it's getting a little too cute. Do we go back to Gen G? I've often thought that after this series right here, and I binked with Gen G, I should have stopped. I've played them almost every single series that they've had, and I got even right there, but now I'm down again on these guys, it feels like. So do I play them again, or am I just going to be destined to looking at an outcome that they put together like 30 kills in a 2-game series in a sweep? What does that really get me? Does that get me, like 70, 80 points for some of these guys? I don't know. I don't think that that's going to cut it. But on the other side of things, when we're looking at this KT team, I guess if I'm playing KT, I'm doing something like an aiming rascal and trying to fit like 4 top, or putting maybe like 4 TT in there. That might be the thought process, because we do like playing aiming. I don't, this is a matchup that I think is very difficult for KT. Obviously, you're playing a team that, all of the measurables, everything that you look at, this is a kind of historically good team. Now, whether or not they fix their clutch factor in the playoffs is notwithstanding, but this is still the regular season. There's not a lot of pressure here. I do think that this will be a little bit more of a free series, but Gen G is going to take care of business here. I feel pretty confident in that. So I guess I'm going to probably stay away from KT. Now, when it comes to TT and RA, man, I like TT in this spot for a lot of the reasons that we just looked into, for the motivation factor, and I just think that this team has been playing really well. But we have seen RA shown flashes. Now, is this RA team going to be able to put together enough of a flash to ruin the TT playoff party? I don't know. Let's go take a look at something here and look at these teams on sides. Let's go to teams. Let's take a look at Rare Atom. Let's take a look at Thunder Talk. Maybe let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Let's take a look at all results. Let's see Red Side. Both of these teams have been abysmal on Red Side. Now, Thunder Talk should have 2 chances on the blue side, but Rare Atom 5-15, whereas on blue side, Thunder Talk have been absolutely phenomenal. 12-4. They beat some good teams. RA is not necessarily one of those teams, and even we can kind of change this and go from like 12-12 there. 7-3. Red side, both of these teams have been terrible. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that we even need to do to change this. So I think from a GPP perspective, not a lot of people will play RA. People don't like playing RA, and I totally get that. One of the things that I think you can get when you do play RA, though, is I wonder if this is going to be one of the lines that pop up. I don't think it will be. Yeah, that's not kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking, so if I'm playing RA, maybe I think that RA has like a banging series, and we have something like that. That's a lineup I think would be interesting. I think you can do the exact same thing with Gen G. Yeah, you still need him. What am I doing? Grab a team slot. I like that. I just don't know if they score well enough. Even if they beat TT, I think that the problem that you're going to have with RA is that RA winning a series probably ends up being a 2-1. If they win a 2-1 series, are they going to get enough out of their loss to make this team worthwhile to play as a 4-stack or even as a 3-stack? And I think the answer to that question is probably emphatically no. Most recently, their losses have been sub 10 kills, which is kind of that threshold. They've had a couple situations where they've had 11, 14, and 15. But even then, this RA team has looked like they quit at times. I'm probably not looking here for the dog. So now we're in this kind of weird situation, right? Like, because we don't think that KT can beat Gen G. We don't think that RA can win a clean 2-0 series. We don't think that RA is going to win in spectacular enough fashion to be on our teams, especially when we think about what happens with TT. Although they did have a stretch, but like just a small stretch here where they were dropping 20 deaths in their losses. But overall, this has been a team that has a pretty low DPL. So, low DPL, a RA team that has kind of a low KPW, really bad on red side. Like, you certainly play them. You can play like maybe even like a kind of Strive small stack with a Yanja, possibly a Leanne, just depending on what you're looking at in the other team. But I just don't think that this is the spot where I'm going to attack. I don't really like this slate altogether, because both of those games don't feel like we can get winners out of there. So then what do? Do we move into Anyone's Legend? Can Anyone's Legend beat Top Esports? Is Betty going to be sneaky tonight? I think he will. I mean, he's going to be sneaky. He's not going to be owned. Nobody's going to have Betty. DK one-off team in cash. Okay. What does that get me, though? Does that get me something different when I do this? So if I go get a DK team, does that allow me to do something like a Tion captain or something? Is that kind of like the idea? You could probably do something even more than that, huh? You could probably do like could you do a Chovy captain with that? It's interesting. I kind of like that. I dig it. Yeah. Could you do a Knight captain, or is that's probably asking a little bit too much, isn't it? No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. I think you're just introducing an added layer of variance with the Damwon team slot, and then I guess you're getting some additional safety with the Gen Chi, but not really. I mean, I still think that this is probably just a safer, less risk lineup again. But I don't hate that. It's not what I want to do. My bad. Yeah, I still like this one better, though. Still like that one better. So when it comes to Anyone's Legend versus Top, the case for it is that obviously they're going to be the lowest owned team on the slate. People will find a way to shove in Top Esports into their lineups, and I don't know if that's necessarily the play. I wouldn't want to fade them entirely because they have shown an ability and a willingness to scrap. They have a couple of these mid-20s games, and certainly I've decided to take stands on teams against AL before, specifically like I think it was EDG recently. They did very well. I don't have that added in here, but this AL team has died quite a bit recently as they've fallen apart. And even when they were playing well, they were high there. So I think top's a spot that you can go to. How does AL win? I don't think that they do. I don't think that they have, like, truthfully, a chance. They feel like a team that has fallen apart and just has no confidence in themselves. And so that really brings us to this last game. This T1 Damwon. Now, can Damwon upset T1? I think the answer is a resounding yes. They absolutely can. Like, this might be the team that you're utilizing. I mean, either side of this, because they're priced similarly to put into your lineups. I guess the biggest hesitation and fear that I have with this particular matchup is how do these teams play? We talked about it, like Damwon has this wild variance. They can certainly be a team that puts up 33 kills in a game, but they're also a team that's really comfortable at playing like 9 or 10. But most recently, we've seen them, play these games where they get 14 or 15 kills, but they're all in team fights, every single one of them. And so their guys still score well. But for that to work, I almost would want them to sweep here. And I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think that this is going to be a close series. I do think that there may be times where these teams don't want to fight, but I definitely want to get a little bit of exposure to both of them. It's a tough slate because RA, KT, and anyone's Legend just don't feel like they have real shots at this. KT being the best of those three teams, but they are playing the best of those three teams. And so that kind of I don't know, I'm looking for the words here. Kind of rules them out in my mind. I think I'm going to play a little bit of each one of those. Just tough slate overall. So those are my thoughts, not really together. I wanted to kind of just put something out there because it is like the last Friday that we're going to have one of these 4-game slates. When we look at ownership, I think top is going to be the number one owned team. I think TT comes in after that, or maybe Gen G just because of pricing. But I do think you're going to see like 40 to 50% on top in some of the smaller contests. In the larger ones, maybe 30 to 35. Knight, as always, will probably have significantly higher ownership than the rest of the team. Ruler will have higher ownership on Gen G. So you're probably going to see some of those like weird combinations and one-offs. But if I had to pick a team that was going to be the top scoring team, I don't know. I'm going to go with my boys TT. I'm going to say a UCal captain. UCal, I mean, what can we do? This is let's see what we can do here. We got a UCal. We got a Kepler, probably going to run something like this. Can you run a UCal captain? Of course you can. It's beautiful. Let's go with a UCal captain. What do we get when we do that? Can we get a Bayshon? We can. No. That is disaster. Interesting. So I'm good with Doran there. Let's do this instead. Maybe we do something like a Chovy captain. Go. Maybe something like that. I definitely want to play Bayshon, get the reverse mush from Spelkowski after he just talked all this shit about my boy. Bayshon's going to come out and just have a monstrous game. So Bayshon, top scoring jungler on the slate. UCal, top scoring mid laner on the slate. TT is in the optimal lineup, at least 3 of them. That's all I got for tonight, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, I believe, just to do one last 4-game show. We'll see if we can get a guest. A couple people weren't able to make it today, but you guys all, have a good night. We out.